Song and Story World. Song and Story World. Hello and welcome to Song and Story World. For this first series of episodes, we're presenting some of Aesop's fables. Aesop was a man who lived a long time ago and wrote stories which make people think as well as being fun. Have a listen and see what Aesop Stories might teach you.
We bring you some We bring you some of Aesop's fables. Aesop's fables. Have you got friends who are squidgy and slimy? Tim Tortoise has. He likes anyone who is a spot on the sludgy side. There's Tom Toad. He hasn't been very well lately, but he's coming along in leaps and bounds now. And there's Sam Snail, known to his friends as Speedo. These three go everywhere together. Well, they don't go everywhere exactly, because it takes them half a day just to get to the Red Windmill, and that's only by the bend in the road past Tom Toad's pond. But you know what I mean. Whatever they do together. Well, not whatever exactly, because Tom Toad does spend the odd hour or two croaking on the big lily pod in his pond, and Tim and Sam can't swim. In fact, they can't walk very well. Tim only has two speeds, very, very slow, and stop. And Sam doesn't walk at all. He just slips and slithers. Mind you, if you had to carry your home on your back, you'd walk rather slowly, wouldn't you? Sam and Tim belonged to the Slow Coach Social Club, and often took Tom along as their guest. Sam liked to go there because Sarah the slow worm worked there, and he thought Sarah was just so pretty. Of course, he was far too shy to speak to her, except to say things like, "Please can I have a chocolate biscuit with my tea?" But he did look forward to seeing her. Slow worms look like snakes, of course, but they're quite harmless. Actually, they're quite legless too. It all happened one day when they were leaving the club to go home. Of course, Sam and Tim didn't really need to leave the club to go home because home was wherever they were. All they had to do was pull their bits into their shells and they could be snuggling up with a cup of hot cocoa before you could say moth-eaten mollusk or ropey reptile. But they liked to keep Tom company, and so they all set off toward the pond. That's when they met Harry the Hare, steaming up in a cloud of dust. Well, he just fell about. He thought it was so funny to see these three creatures plodding along as if they had all the time in the world. Hares, of course, are pretty quick. Mind you, Harry wasn't very pretty. His teeth stuck out, and his ears stuck up, and as far as Tim could see, he wasn't the least bit slimy. Shame. "Move it, move it, move it! Some of us have a home to go to," said Harry. "We haven't," said Tim and Sam, and Tom Toad said, "Hop it, mate." "Charming," said Harry. "You're all so slow," he said. "Why can't you get a move on? I've seen trees growing faster than you lot move." Well, that did it. Tim got so cross and hot under the collar, a hot cross tortoise. "You're not fast anyway," said Tim. He regretted it straight away. It was only something to say, because he couldn't think of anything else. Of course Harry was fast. He was jet-propelled. He could run somewhere and meet himself coming back. "Let's have a race then, mateys, and then we shall see who is fast." Harry hurtled off into the distance at a zillion miles an hour, leaving the three friends coughing and spluttering in the dust he had made. "Nice one, Tim," said Sam Snail. great move," said Tom Toad. "Just which one of us do you suppose, oh Timothy, could reach such hairy speeds?" "Oh, stop rabbiting on," said Tim. "I'll do it. I'll race the hare." He couldn't really say anything else, could he? He had rather opened his mouth and put his foot in it, which is very difficult for a tortoise, believe me. Listen to the song to see what happened. One summer morning not long ago, a tortoise called Timothy strolled down the road. Near to the pond, asleep in the mud, he met a friend of his snoring away. Tom Toad. Off they both set with nowhere to go, past the red windmiller spinning a sail. Under a tree just having a snooze, they met a friend who was dreaming away, Sam Snail. And they walked on together, just as slow as you please, and they all talked together, and the air was filled with the smell of clover, buzzing bees, and golden sun everywhere. Up from behind runs Harry the Hare, laughs at the three and says, "Wow, watch them go. One of you hops and one of you clumps, one of you slithers, you really all are so slow." Timothy's cross and says to the hare, "Well, Mr. Big Ears, we don't think you're fast." Harry just laughs and says to the chums, "Let's have a race and then we shall see who is last." And they walked on together, just as slow as you please, and they all talked together, but the smiles were fading as home they went with wobbly knees to dream of racing a hare. "I'll do it," Timothy said. "I'll do it, I'm not scared. I'll do it," Timothy said. "I'll race the hare." The day of the race came sunny and fine, animals gathered to join in the fun. Tortoise and hare stood right on the line, listening carefully so they could hear the gun. Down fell a hush, they all held their breath, only a small baby newt gave a cough. Hal and the hamster started the race, bang went the gun and the animals yelled, "They're off!" And they raced off together as the dust filled the air. Yes, they chased off together, but it soon appeared that the dust was made by only one, and Tim was really still there. "I'll do it," Timothy said. "I'll do it, I'm not scared. I'll do it," Timothy said. "I'll race the hare." After a while, old Harold looked back, just as I told him a hare runs the best. Harold was hot and needed a drink. Plenty of time, he said, "Why don't I take a rest?" So the hare slept while Timothy trudged, passing at last Harold Hare in the sun. Onto the line that finished the race, and what a welcome the crowd cheered and said, "He's won!" And they walked on together, just as slow as you please, and they all talked together, and the air was filled with the smell of clover, buzzing bees, and golden sun everywhere.
Look out for more Aesop songs and stories soon, and don't forget to tell your friends about this podcast. Thanks for listening.
Song and Story World.